Welcome back to glorious Cadwell Park. It's ThunderSport GB, and next up the bike sport news. ThunderSport GP1s coming to the grid. Saw an excellent race from them earlier on, going the way of number 71 Phil Crow, but pushed all the way by Peter Baker, number 1. And watch out for 156 Dave Jackson. Had an absolutely rocket ship start on the first time of asking, and there, well, he tried to jink to the left but found that full of Phil Crow, so he goes to the right and he says, oh, I have that gap then. Phil moves over, I'm through it, and that has cost Phil Crow, Steve, and Dave Jackson gets away well.
Yeah, well, from pole position, I don't think Phil Crow is going to be very happy with that at all, so we'll have to see how the race goes. We'll see the Supertwins battle there, Les Liney going through. Worth just quickly mentioning, get well soon to Glenn Shaw, who unfortunately went off earlier in the weekend and has cracked a bone in his pelvis and done his ribs, but hopefully he'll be back with us soon. And obviously comebacks this weekend as well for Neil Gregory and Greg Lewis, who are back with us as well.
Yeah, of course we do wish anybody well who is injured. My goodness me, some injuries do sound more painful than some others, don't they? And that really does sound like a catalogue of woe. So yes, get well soon to Glenn, and Dave Jackson leads from Ross Connolly. Then Peter Baker and Phil Crow looking full of menace. And look at that, Jason Byard up next. Another excellent performance here at Cadwell Park from Jason. There we see Greg Lewis, number 46, chasing up the mountain, trying to stay in touch with the leaders.
Yeah, so Dave Jackson, 156, the ex-European Supermoto rider on home turf, has got a dream start so far ahead of defending champion Pete Baker, Ross Connolly, and then Phil Crow, who said he wanted a treble, but at the moment, on this form, he's going to have a lot of work to do.
Well, there we see the Super Twin leader, Lee Reveley, number 77. But up the front, Peter Baker worked his way ahead of Ross Connolly. So it is now Baker, then Connolly behind Dave Jackson, and Phil Crow still lurking there in 4th place, seemingly unable to work his way to the front yet. He tries around the outside at Mansfield. There is Jason Byard being followed now by Angelo De Rosa, and there we see Lee Reveley, once again the leading Super Twin.
Yeah, Lee Reveley's actually doing very well overall in the race. He's making good headway. There we see Ross Connolly just behind Peter Baker, and Phil Crow putting on a bit of pressure. These guys are all inside Peter Baker's lap record from earlier. So I think Dave Jackson, funnily enough, is the actual, well, on that last lap, he was the slowest man out of these 4. It's a great battle all the way down the field, though.
Yeah, Jason Byard again leading that next little group, and look how they've closed up. Well, Jackson and Baker, Connolly and Crow, all race winners so far this year in GP1, and very evenly matched for times, as you said. There, the next group, Jason Byard being pursued by Neil Gregory, and Peter Baker coming down around Park Bend has got ahead of Jackson, and there, oh, riding into retirement. That is a mechanical, Steve. That's Ross Connolly. What a great shame for him.
Yeah, well, 2 big moments in the race there, with Baker going into the lead and then Connolly out of the race. That's bad luck for Ross Connolly. He was doing very well there, looking good for a podium. Lee Reveley, he's really flying through the pack. He's actually got ahead of that little pack now and is into the top 5.
Yeah, he's turning in fast lap times as well. He's easily the fastest Super Twin out there, and oh dear, Dave Jackson dumps it at Hall Bend, slides across the grass and leans back. Yes, I don't think God was watching then, or if he was on a different bike. Well, Peter Baker across the line ahead of Phil Crow, starting the last lap. Can Phil catch him?
Yeah, Dave Jackson just clipped the curb there on the entry to Hall Bend, and that coinciding with him applying the power maybe a little bit too early has ended his weekend. Phil Crow is catching Pete Baker, Robin, on this last lap, and Phil Crow's on a hot lap.
Yeah, and he's got a slower rider on the road ahead of him, has the leader Peter Baker, as they run up the mountain for the last time. Phil Crow, oh, look at this, unrelenting pressure. It's a big charge on right at the last. Peter Baker leads into Hall Bends. Over the crest he goes, down towards the hairpin. There we see Lee Reveley having, I think, the race of his career so far. He's right up through the pack, and there Phil Crow emerges from Barn, and Peter Baker, we hear, has gone down in the woods, so the checkered flag is out. Phil Crow takes the win. Lee Reveley is going to cross in 2nd place, and Phil Crow says, well now, yes, that was me. I said I'd win it, and I did. Well, I don't know how, Phil. I tell you what, it was courtesy of a few other riders having a few problems. Well, a bit of rubber on the tarmac there, but Phil Crowe celebrates the GP1 win. Lee Reveley wins the Super Twins. Angelo De Rosa gets up into an excellent third ahead of Jason Bayard. And there we see a very happy Phil on the podium with Lee Reveley and Angelo De Rosa. Well, the standings, courtesy of that race in particular, Phil Crowe takes a bit of a break out the front there. Peter Baker still lies second ahead of Ross Connolly. There we see the Super Twins. Lee Reveley wins it from Les Liney and Scott Adam. In their standings, well, Lee Reveley heads those points from Les Liney. Scott Adam third, Duncan Gibson fourth, Charlie Flett fifth, and Ben Broadway in sixth place.
Phil Crowe, what a race that was, certainly from our point of view, and you got the lap record as well.
Yeah, amazing race. I was just hanging on in there behind the lads all the time. I was getting annihilated down the straights, which was my main problem. I had the pace on them everywhere else on the corners. But by the time I caught them after the two straights, it was just a matter of trying to pick them off or deal with them as they came. Hard work, but in the end I picked them off 1v1, and unfortunately for Dave Jackson, who was absolutely flying. He come off and it ruined the race a bit, but I'm sure in the right circumstances I've been past him anyway. And yeah, brilliant race.
Ladies who lunch.